Good afternoon and welcome, everybody. I can't tell you how heartwarming it is to see so many familiar faces in our living room, also known as the Rogers Theatre. My name is Ramona Mar, and I'm a member of the programming team here at the Chinatown Storytelling Centre. We conceived of this program as a companion event to our first special lobby exhibit, Raised in Chinatown, and I hope by now you've all had a chance to see it or you'll be able to see it on your way out. The exhibit opens with the words, "Everyone knew everyone," and it's a phrase we heard repeatedly when interviewing those of a certain generation. And so speaking of that generation, I just want a show of hands as to how many of you consider yourselves raised in Chinatown. And I don't mean you had to be born here. It's a figurative, notion that you spent your time here and you were focused here. A lot of you. Wow. It is to you that we dedicate our exhibit and this program. Perhaps without knowing it at the time, your generation helped define a Chinese-Canadian identity. Many of you immersed yourselves in mainstream activities while still trying to honor your parents' cultural heritage. Please welcome the boy who was raised at the tofu store at the back of his parents' market on Powell Street, Peter Zhou.
In preparing for today, it brought back many memories of my Vancouver Chinatown, and I think it's during its heydays and of hustle and bustle, especially on Penner Street in the 60s, 70s, and 80s. So I'm the son of Leslie and Susan Zhou, and I'm the oldest of the family of 4 siblings. I have 3 sisters, Sally, Winnie, and Jenny. Now this picture was taken at the Yu Cho Chow studio. This is before Jenny was born in the 60s. Our parents immigrated to Canada mid-50s from Guangzhou, China. And my sisters and I were born in Vancouver between 59 and 70. My parents started the Yat-Sing company in 1956 at 378 Powell Street. My dad took over a small tofu shop from an uncle and later moved the business down to Gordon Powell Street, where we still have today the Sunrise Market store and where my sisters are working for all these years. The Yat-Sing business name changed to Sunrise Market in the early 60s. And the reason my dad and my parents started selling groceries while making tofu at the back of the store was that the tofu business for just servicing Chinatown itself was not big enough or large enough to provide for the family. So this is a picture of that's a store that was set up, and at the back was the tofu production. So our family lived several blocks from Chinatown, actually on 228 Main Street, where the provincial courts are today. We lived there till the late 60s. So I think, I should be in that picture with my dad and my 2 sisters. So with our family business being so, and home being so close to Chinatown, Chinatown was always part of our day-to-day lives. And I've seen Chinatown change over the past decades. Chinatown, for me, was a place of play, school, and work, and enjoying lots of food. Back then, Chinatown was, the streets were packed with people on the sidewalks. It was very difficult to find parking. It was free parking then, too, okay? And it was safe, and it felt safe all day long to be in Chinatown. I remember times, even back when Kiefer Street still had its rail street car tracks. I went to Strathcona Elementary School, which was several blocks away from Chinatown for 5 years before moving to Queen Alexandra School. In this picture, I'm the only boy with a tie. I think I was dressed better back then than today. Except, you notice everyone was Asian except the teacher, right? And I remember walking during my childhood days from Penner Street from school and Main Street heading down to Chinatown, and I still remember even having these trading cards where I don't know, some of you remember, you play cards and you throw it and you set it up on the street, and so I was playing cards down Penner Street along the sidewalk. So for a number of years, I also in Chinatown attended the Chinese language schools. I went to all three of them. And one of them, being the longest, was the one at the on Kiefer and Gore, where the Chinese Presbyterian Church was. The other two was also in Pender. One was in kitty corner to Strathcona School, and the other one's located, in this block here. The names were the Mankang and Wakyu schools. So Chinese schools was a form of babysitting for my parents when they worked their long hours and 7 days. But I was really happy that now that to think of back that they did enroll me to and my sisters into Chinese school. Most of my memories involved early memories was making tofu at the shop at a young age, and you know, I tell people that I was born and raised in a tofu shop, and my sisters, you can say that they're raised in a grocery food store. I also worked in the grocery stores, and our family had good experience to have done that. So that's my mom, and that should be me. So this is 1960, so a few years, yeah, I think that's me. It should be me. Yeah, so that's a picture. This is the corner store now. Like, we moved down from this 378 location. Okay, and that's again my mom and the shopping carts. Okay, another picture here is my now Jenny's born, so yeah, that's Jenny and myself. I mean, I'm teaching her how to use a cash register, maybe. Yeah, and having fun there too. That's my sister there, Jenny. Okay. So here's a picture of me making tofu. And just a side note, the person making tofu beside me helped the company for many years in Powell Street. He had no family, and we were his family. He lived right on the next across the street in a rooming house. He worked every day until he passed away. His name was John.
John Zola, right?
Yes, John.
I worked for us first before he worked for you.
Yeah. Okay. So back then, yeah, my dad was known as Tofu Singh, and I think they called me in China Tofu Chai, the tofu kid, right? Yeah. Okay, so here's another old picture of the back of the store and the delivery truck. So in the early teens, when I became strong enough to carry tofu or in terms of tray and a bucket of tofu, I started, instead of making tofu, help deliver tofu to Chinatown. I would tag along with my uncle or any employee that was a driver then for vehicles like this or a van or a delivery van. So fresh tofu was produced every day out of the back of the store. Starts, I think, production about 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning. And my mom and dad would make the tofu with John. And there was a delivery route that took me, took 3 and a half hours. And every day we would do that to deliver to Chinatown. I remember going to, first of all, the first stop was Guangheng, the Guangheng store across next to the alley up on 200 block Pender. And there was Yunfeng, Lakeview, and Daiwa, which is the Majestic Barbecue, and Walong. So again, I have all these names I still remember doing my routes of delivery. And there was a small store called Siulei as well. And there was Tai Hing across the street. So again, we would do all the stores, all the restaurants, and go up and down the alleys and the different streets on the several perimeter or the area of the Chinatown area. And I knew all the back doors and again, seeing what's happening behind the scenes and especially in the restaurants and the kitchens. Yeah, so this is one of the trays, the bus pans that was used for the tofu. So actually, this one is etched with the Xing, right? The tofu, Xing tofu, fresh tofu, and yeah, it was heavy work. It was like you can imagine this was full of water. It was awkward to carry, and it had 40 pieces of tofu, and my clothes and clothing, especially, would get all wet, and it was really messy, and carrying up and down the stairs. I remember going up to the new Diamond Restaurant up the staircase, and also there was a restaurant all the way down across from Woodward's. It was called Golden Crown, and that was a long flight of stairs going up to the second floor or something like that. So all the delivery of tofu continued to this day in the greater Vancouver area, and that all started in Chinatown. Okay, so many people, again, walked from Chinatown to our store to purchase tofu. And at that time, as I was pointing out, there's no packaging of tofu, so we sold it in plastic bags, or people brought their own containers. And a lot of people came from out of town to purchase our tofu. And so after school and during summers, I mean, in the family business, my sisters, that was our activity, right, to help in the business. And again, Chinatown was our backyard. Okay, so in my teen years, and now into high school, I went to Britannia, where many of the Chinatown and Strathcona families attended. I was a competitive table tennis player. I remember my dad taking me to the Hoi Fong Society Table Tennis Club and the tournaments. And see, he told me I was too small, too scrawny, and light to be playing football, hockey, or basketball. So table tennis was a sport I wouldn't get hurt, right? So, but again, I was very, very lucky that my dad had me take up table tennis in 1970 when I was 10 years old. In terms of the table tennis, I became good enough to be chosen to be on the Canadian junior table tennis team in 1973. I was 13 years old at that time. China was opening up to the West and to the USA to the West, right? Do you remember the Forrest Gump movie? Or some of you have watched the Forrest Gump movie, and there was a scene where Forrest Gump is playing table tennis, and there was a large crowd in the back, and that was supposed to be that's in China. So that really happened. You know, that was a historical U.S. Table tennis team visit, and our the Canadian junior team followed shortly after to be in China too. And we played in front of the large stadium. It was about 18 the Chinese people watching us play there. So these are some of the pictures from that was in Guangzhou, and that's another picture of myself being in China. The National Film Board, they followed us. It was a month-long trip, and they made a short film of this historic trip, and it was 4 cities. We went to Beijing, Shanghai, Shenyang, and Guangzhou. And so this summer will be the 50th anniversary of that trip. So I feel very blessed to be able to have that unique experience of being in my life at that time to be in China. And I wish I recorded more of the experience and have more notes in diary, but this opportunity really again stemmed from the sport started playing in the Chinatown societies and clubs, and so that was my dad, my proud dad had all those trophies, and I brought along my this paddle is very, very old and used. I just traveled many countries with this. I played so many years with this paddle. It's really in bad shape now because look how damaged it is. So I decided to bring that to show everybody. And then actually this morning I dug up a poster, and so this is the 16th annual Vancouver Chinatown Open Table Tennis Championships, and that was in 1975. And that's myself, and maybe some of you know this is my good friend Ed Lowe. So we were in many trips, and he was part of the China trip as well. All right. So being in Vancouver, or being born in Vancouver, we all know it's not easy to keep up with the Chinese language and culture. So again, I was very, very, very blessed for that time that I was able to spend time in Chinatown, and needing to converse in Cantonese to all the business owners and in the stores. And also learned the Chinese characters, and of course through the Chinese schools, I was able to learn and keep up some Chinese. I also learned the Chinese foul languages and cursing words too. So when I remember delivering tofu to Anan Tea Garden, that's on Kiefer Street. The chef and the kitchen staff was very, very particular of the cleanliness of the restaurant, and I happened to spill water when I'm carrying the heavy pails of tofu into their fridge, and they were just screaming and cursing at me. I was so scared and intimidated when back then, but now of course I was super careful when I serviced Anan Tea Garden. But again, I learned the Cantonese cursing words from them. So again, so Vancouver Chinatown is, I feel, the foundation for our Sunrise Tofu's business. It provides the volume and platform for future expansion. My dad decided to look for a larger location for our business and counted on me to manage the business to take it to the new level. So we decided to move to a location further up the block, the 700 block Powell Street, in 1982 to set up a new factory, which we are still there today after 40 years. So tofu has a long Asian history, as all of you know, and even though we had a base book of business, it was still a small-scale business, and in order to grow and to be successful, we need to expand into a wider distribution and into the mainstream supermarkets. It was gaining popularity at that time already for health, the health food market and vegetarians, but most Canadians did not know how to cook and eat tofu at home. So, like I went to UBC and I went to the commerce and marketing program, and so I my marketing kicked in terms of thinking of how to educate and increase awareness of tofu. I still remember doing large sampling events at the 10K runs for breast cancer, to the Dragon Boat Festival and sampling, and even I set up a tofu social club, and printing thousands of recipes to hand out to consumers, and a lot of sampling of tofu at supermarkets. So today we have 3 plants, and our products are sold in most supermarkets in North Canada. And I would say our company helped develop the tofu industry and mainstream the tofu to masses. We were producing all these years and marketing a traditional and original plant-based food, and making it more than just an Asian food. Okay, so back to Chinatown and my early adult years. I must describe again how Chinatown was before. Again, the 200 block Powell Street, full of people, packed on, especially on a Saturday afternoon. Many food and meat shops and grocery and other goods. Restaurants are full. They were packed, servicing dim sum on every block. And most of the stores are run by owners that had their family and kids and relatives working there. So again, back to like that was my favorite and memorable restaurant. The yokbang, the soups, right? It still etched my memory how it was so good. And there was Hong Kong Cafe and BC Row and on this block, the Ho, New Diamond and YN. But again, there's so many that were so good, and I wish I had been able to take pictures of all the dishes that they cooked up back then. So personally, I'm very thankful for Chinatown, how it shaped who I am as being this whole the word like hybrid, or let's say like there's the term banana, right? The being yellow outside and white inside. But I would say, like, what is the color for a blend, right, of the yellow and white, and a Chinese Canadian that is balanced in both an experience, in both the Canadian culture and the Chinese culture. Many of us are like that. I mean, especially growing up in Chinatown and going to public schools. I grew up eating McDonald's in the white spot, but I crave for a bowl of wonton noodles and hot pot, especially after a trip that I did not have Chinese food for many days. So again, my family is an example of many hardworking family business stories. Everyone pitching in to do what's necessary. And we stayed in the same location for many, many years, of course, over 60 years in Powell Street. My parents, Leslie and Susan, and my 3 sisters, Sally, Winnie, and Jenny, again, they all worked hard in the business and raised their family. So my dad now has 11 grandchildren and soon to have 2 great-grandchildren. So we're 2 generations going through formative years in Chinatown in its prime. So the Vancouver Chinatown and its community and citizens provide the foundation for businesses to thrive and grow. And our family is so fortunate to be in Vancouver all our lives, and we all live very close to each other. In closing, I'd like to I really hope Chinatown will improve. I see China will be improving with their new government attention and support. And kudos to people like Carol and her foundation in doing so much to support the revitalization of Chinatown. It would never be the same as what I experienced in the 60s and 70s, but I look forward to positive changes and for overall area and Chinatown be better and maintain its heritage and its history and for many years to come. So, okay, so thank you. There we go. Thank you.
Isn't that the best show and tell? Thank you so much, Peter. And I was watching your dad. He's just beaming. Our next speaker is a part-time audio-visual tech and a part-time museum interpreter at the Burnaby Village Museum. However, he was a full-time laundry boy in the 1960s and 70s working in the family business, Union Laundry, and he's brought a slew of his fans here from his history gang. Please welcome our friend and longtime Chinatown advocate, Elwin Xie.
So our business was on Union Street, 274 Union Street, okay? So here we go. For 1 month of free washing. A bachelor, a bearded bachelor, crusty, he comes into the Union Laundry with a pillowcase of his smelly clothes. And then he plunks it onto the table in front of my mother. And my mother, in return, gives him a ticket. Now, on this ticket, what does it say? He has 15 days to pick up his new clothes, or he has 30 days to pick up new clothes, or he can pick up his clothes anytime after the 31st day. Who says 15 days? Anybody say 15 days? No? Okay. Who says he's got 30 days to pick it up? Anybody say 30 days to pick it up? All right. Okay. Who says anytime after the 31st day? All right. The answer is 30 days. All right. He's got 30 days to pick up his clean laundry. What happens on the 31st day? Union Laundry now owns the laundry. All right. Hence. So next thing you know, the family of Union Laundry is now wearing his clothes. All right. Do they know how to tie a tie? Not so much. So my mother came over in 1947 after the lifting of exclusion. My mom and my dad together decided to open a business. They purchased the Jin Lee Laundry in 48. Oh, speaking of London drugs, George Chow, did you live upstairs, George Chow?
All right. That's fine. All right.
So this was my stomping ground in the 1960s. So as you can see, the car's been cut, the hood's been cut off. I've actually pasted two pictures together. And the other red arrow, that's Three Vets. Does anybody remember Three Vets? So eventually, when the viaduct came in, Three Vets relocated to Yukon. Did Elwin go to the Three Vets to go Christmas shopping for his mother? Yes or no? Yes. And you're thinking, what could your mother possibly want from a Three Vets military surplus store, right? My thought is, it's the thought that counts, all right? So did we always operate a laundry? No, because prior to laundry business, our family were farmers in Richmond. Pig farming, greengrocer farming, and you may be wondering, oh, where did this take place? IKEA Richmond. You ever been there? So the next time you go there, I want you to think about our family, all right? So that's my dad there with his golf shirt. It says East Richmond. So my father was born in 1920. And oh, there's my Uncle Pete. Yeah, and in fact, he's in the front row here. Ray, there's Uncle Pete. Give Uncle Pete a hand. Uncle Pete will be turning 95 next month. So on this farm, Uncle Pete, maybe you can help me out here. On this farm, was there electricity back in the 1920s? No. In the 1920s, Uncle Pete, was there a toilet sewer pipe back then?
No, it was just hot and cold running.
So the good old days, I think I'm going to pass on that, all right? So this is our family here, and even though we were not physically living in Vancouver, my dad, of course, would maybe you would deliver vegetables and pork to Chinatown on Pender Street, so on Kiefer Street. Actually, there was John Hing, there was Coos, wasn't there? Coos, yeah. So those of you that are old enough may remember that Kiefer Street was a lot of wholesalers, and at the corner was the Good Shepherd Church. Does anybody remember the Good Shepherd Church? All right. Oh, well, you go way back. All right. So my dad delivers vegetables and pork. Oh, the pork went to Feng Li. Is that right? Feng Li. Yeah, we had an exclusive with Feng Li because they made the lap jiang cha siu, right? That's right. So after my dad dropped off the vegetables and the pork, did he return back to Lulu Island, Richmond with an empty truck? No, that's a waste of gas. What do? Now, Dad's going to go through the alleys of Chinatown to pick up slop. What's the slop for? It's to feed the pigs. Hello? All right? That's what you feed the pigs. If you like your char siu, that's where it comes from. All right? Oh, by the way, this photograph here was taken by Yu Cho Chow in 1936, all right? So that's my grandfather on the right, who I never met, and my grandmother, who eventually got relocated to Powell River when she first arrived here. But why did they traipse all the way to Vancouver to get their photograph taken at the portrait studio? Because in 1936, my dad was going to China, and he needed a mugshot for the so-called visa. And back then, did you go to Broadway and Granville to the Chinese consulate to get your visa? No, you had to apply for a visa from the Chinese Benevolent Association. And that document is in the glass showcase over there. It's written in Chinese. But that's what they had to do back then. All right? That's why my dad had to get a mugshot in 1936. And he was sent there. Why was he sent there? Because he was turning into, was a common issue back then, he was turning into a banana. And we need you to learn more Chinese culture. Actually, we need you to find a Chinese wife in China is what it really was. Who knows their Chinese-Canadian history? When was exclusion? 1923. When was it repealed and lifted? 1947. And when it was lifted, my mother finally was able to come over here. Because during the exclusion, they were separated for 11 years. So my mom arrives in 48. What do you think happens after in 9 months? Anybody want to guess? Baby. And that baby is my brother Nelson here. And what happens after 30 days? There's a party. It's called Muonget Jaya. All right? So there's my brother there, baby Nelson. And that's my dad on the right. And anyway, this is me in 1970. And if you look carefully, you're wondering, what are those parachutes doing on the ceiling? In the wintertime, it's cold outside, but it's cooking hot inside. What do you get? You get condensation. And the site today is occupied by Nora Hendricks Place. And if you look carefully back there, there's the Georgia Viaduct, all right? And in behind is the St. Paul's Hospital that will be coming in. And this is my mom on the left here. And that's my dad over here. My shirt says Stratford because in 1979, I ran away from home as far as I could get. I got to Cape Fear, Newfoundland. But first, I had to stop in at the Stratford Theatre Festival. How about a shadow puppet? Would you be interested in watching a shadow puppet show? All right, here we go. Between 1948 and the mid-1980s, my family ran the Union Laundry at 274 Union Street at Gore Avenue in Chinatown, Vancouver. We lived upstairs. The upstairs was always toasty warm from the heat generated downstairs by all the industrial machinery. In the summer, butter left out accidentally would become a pool of yellow liquid in no time. Hey, who left the butter out? The front of the laundry had the retail counter, while the back of the laundry was where all the work took place. In the washing area, there'd be water everywhere on the ground as it splashed out of the machines. Wearing gumboots was a good idea in this area. Our retail customers were bachelors living in nearby rooming houses. Hello, can I help you?
Hey, Sonny, can you get my laundry? I'm running out of clean clothes to wear.
Sure, mister. You got your ticket? 646. Let me see. I can't find it. Let me ask my mom. Mommy, 呢啲菜6C6到哪嘛？我揾唔到喎。阿彩，6C6，我明得喎，你喊佢行陣一翻嚟咯，好嘛？2點嘛。
My mom says it's not ready yet. Can you come back tomorrow at 2 o'clock? Not ready? I was hoping to change my clothes today. Ring, 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 ring. Hello, Union Laundry. Ooh? Tropicana Motor Inn? Missing 20 bed sheets? Oh, maybe we delivered one bundle to another customer by accident. Let me check with my dad and get back to you, okay? I'll call you back right away. I promise. Okay, bye. This is the back of the laundry. I said, this is the back of the laundry. Can you hear me? In kindergarten, standing on wooden boxes, us kids would start out folding fluffy towels and terry bar tops from beer parlors. Anytime we had a load of dirty bar tops, our whole laundry smelled like a stinky beer parlor on Hastings Street. As us kids grew taller, we graduated to folding pillowcases, bedspreads, and bed sheets. When I was in grade 4, I was coordinator of orders, a big job normally done by big people. After school, I took over at 4:30 p.m. as our employee went home. After wrapping hundreds and hundreds of packages with a twine a week, I had thick calluses on both my palms. Sundays may have been the Lord's day of rest, but for us it was equipment maintenance day because the equipment was not in use. I would help my dad lubricate bearings with a grease gun, an icky job. Hey, Elvin, climb up there and grease that top bearing, will ya? Okay, Dad. On another machine, the flat iron, I could squeeze into the natural gas inferno jet burner inside the rotating drum. This machine ironed bed sheets, pillowcases, tablecloths, and bedspreads. Can I get you to climb into the inner drum with a flashlight and a sharp poker? I want you to clean the plug jets. I could squeeze in like a mouse through a crevice. Okay, Alvin, now move further to the right. Now ream the crap out of it, will ya? Okay, Dad. In the non-busy winter season, Dad would send me into the bottom of a wash machine. I'd first crawl into the open hatch of the Nassau capsule with a flashlight. With electrical power off, he would put the gear in neutral. Then he proceeded to slowly rotate me down until my hands could reach the mother lode at the bottom. While rotating in the drum, I always said to myself, how could people forget to remove their money out of their pockets before giving their dirty clothes to us to wash? They must have money to burn or something. Hooray! Jackpot! With the free money, I knew what I was going to buy. Sarah was super duper friendly. Her business sign said 7 Up. You like it, it likes you. Learning to read, I loved reading the sign. Back and forth, forth and back. This is where I first learned about a non-Chinese food called French fries. Hey, kitty, kitty, kitty. Meow, meow. Hi, Sarah, how are you? Hello, Alvin. How are you? How is your mama? Good. She's busy working. What would you like today, Alvin? Can I have some French fries, please, Sarah? All right. Hey, Sarah, who are the people in your pictures? That is my family in the Caribbean. All I knew about the Caribbean were pirates. The radio was tuned to OR 600, News Talk Radio with Jack Webster. He'd say, we'll be back tomorrow at 9 a.m. precisely. I'm Jack Webster. Other days, the radio was tuned to WX 1130 Country. There'd be Glenn Campbell, like a rhinestone cowboy. Doo-doo. Here you go, Alvin. Thanks, Sarah. Thank you very much. I love French food. I like my mom's home Chinese cooking too, but French cuisine is the best. I frequently tagged along with my dad on deliveries in the Volkswagen van. My dad loved the Volkswagen. Easy to fix, he always said, nothing to him. On the Chinatown run, the Yenlock restaurant was one of several Chinese restaurants which held wedding banquets on weekends. Their tablecloths were gold color. The bags and bags of dirty tablecloths were heavy to lift, but even though I was a scrawny kid, I could carry heavy bags up and down the stairs on my shoulders, no problem. Pickups and deliveries into West End hotels was a real eye-opener. I realized some kids my age had fun summer vacations, visiting other cities or countries, touring, swimming, eating in fancy restaurants. However, for my family, summers was our busy season. Laundry, laundry, laundry everywhere. Dirty laundry, clean laundry, fluffy laundry, bundle laundry, as far as the eyes can see. All hands on deck. No time for fun in the sun. Hotels had indoor swimming pools. In some hotels, there was even a sauna room, a steam room, and whirlpool too. I wasn't quite sure what the difference was. However, I did recognize the chlorine bleach smell of the swimming pool since we use bleach for washing. Every time I saw kids my age swimming in hotel pools, I thought about signing up for the free swimming lessons sponsored by the Vancouver Sun newspaper. The application was in the funnies section of the paper. I'll tell you a secret. After the bags of Chinese restaurant tablecloths got back to our laundry, they'd still need to be shaken out. You see, the waiters never bothered to pick out the dirty paper serviettes, the swivel sticks for alcoholic drinks, chicken heads, crab shells, lobster shells, all from fancy Chinese wedding banquets. Sometimes there would be chopsticks, silver forks, which would get added to our kitchen utensil collection. Hey, look! Wrapped up wedding cakes in pretty doilies still. This should still be good to eat. As an adult, whenever I stay at a hotel or dine at a nice restaurant, I always think of my young self that used to wash and wrap all them tablecloths, bed sheets, and towels. Monsieur, a little more wine? Oui, yes, please. Oh no, I spilt the glass all over the tablecloth.
Thank you, Elwin. Donna didn't actually live in Chinatown, the focus of her social and after-school life, but was based in Chinatown, and that qualifies her for raised status. She's the owner of that eye-catching green uniform on display in our exhibit, and I know she still fits it. I'd like to welcome Donna Chan, the girl who conceived the Vancouver Chinese girls drill team, a few of them who are with us this afternoon.
Seeing Chinatown through the eyes of a child was very, very wondrous and exciting. If I take you back to maybe 46 or 47, that's a pretty long time ago. I can remember those years, but I get a little bit annoyed when I can't remember what I did 2 days ago. So when we walked down the street, it was wonderful. Mom and Dad seemed to know everyone, but that was just my thoughts. I had 3 uncles in Chinatown, all in separate businesses. When I grew a little older, my parents had no qualms about sending me down from 16th and Main on the streetcar to Chinatown, maybe to pick up something special for dinner. It was a wonderful time. Then there was Chinese school. And then fast forward to late teens. I spent a great deal of time at the Penderwai. There were special classes that were given there, wonderful, wonderful friendships that were gained there. And I was probably with I think it was a dance team, And after one of these special events, I had a chance to sit down and just chat with a couple of my friends, maybe 4. And we were just discussing things that we were just pleased about or not pleased about. And suddenly we saw that there was something that dropped out of a person's pocket. It turned out to be a peony ticket that was given to school children and high school students at the end of the school year. And so, those were free tickets. We had 3 kids in our family, and we sure took advantage of that opportunity to visit the peony. It was just our summer event, which we really, really enjoyed. Then, preceding that would always be the parade. And my dad had always taken us to the parade from a very young age. And we would have just newspapers lining the curb. We sat and waited expectantly for this lovely parade. I loved just the marching bands, the clowns. One group in particular really, really stood out. And they amazed me. They were all girls, and they were strong, and they were dazzling. They had red costumes on, and I thought, wow, they're so dynamic. And I was really impressed. So I think I stored that in the back of my mind. Never spoke about it until I spoke at the Penderwy to my friends. And somehow that became the catalyst for us forming a team or thinking about it. There was, however, just a slight problem. How do we reach the girls that we needed to recruit? Because many of the Chinese families had moved out of Chinatown or maybe not lived there at all. There was this thought that if you were from a traditional family, they didn't want their girls just going out without their families. So there was that problem. Also, too, here we were enrolled in schools in different parts of Vancouver, and our friends were mainly Caucasian. They were white kids. I was maybe one of 5 in the whole school at elementary school, and that was the same at high school. And so I've spoken to my peers, and that was the same with them. So our friends were all white kids. They were all Caucasian. Our families were so worried. You're not going to meet anyone to uphold our Asian heritage, was what they thought. So it turned out to be a surprise because their families, my family, thought it was such a wonderful idea that we could get together and meet other Asian Chinese girls. And so before long, we had a group large enough to get started. So here we are. First photo. Here we are as our first practice at the Strathcona School grounds. And that was 1958, early spring. And I am so pleased that some of the girls that are pictured in this original picture are here this evening. And I'd really love it if you would stand up, please. All my drill team alumni, could you just please stand? Gail, all of you, all of the drill team members, please stand. This is, yeah. Thank you. This is an event for you because you made the team. Without you, there wouldn't have been anything. What happened was I got the job of being the instructor because my dear friends knew that I had had experience as an air cadet, so I knew basic drill. But I panicked because I did not know precision drill. So that meant getting down to the drawing board, and my family thought I was extremely silly because I had sugar cubes to represent the team to figure out precision movements. And that was how we got some of our movements for our special events. At one point, we had to move out of Strathcona. We had a friend who came by and he said, you know, you're too far away from Chinatown. You need to be visible So he happened to be part owner of the first Chinese drive-in in Vancouver called the Ding Ho Drive-In. So that is where we moved to. Every Sunday at 2 p.m., that was where we gathered and did our practices. And of course, we had many people watching us and applauding us. Tommy Ho also was instrumental in knowing what we would need to proceed at this point as far as funding for costumes, flags, and drums. And he immediately got together a group of leading businessmen in Chinatown. And I need to name them because they're so important to Chinatown. There was Tommy Ho, who was, again, as I said, the part owner of the Ding Ho, and Tommy Ma, who was the first Chinese manager of this bank on this location, so the Bank of Montreal. And then there was Bob Lee of Fuhang, and I believe father of Carol. And there was Bob Chan, Gordon Lee. They were all directors. And then we got the Chinese Benevolent Association behind us. So there we had sponsors. The merchants also donated funds, so that would all be in the working. Later on, as you see here, the Benevolent Association had a special event, and they wanted us to do a demonstration, but we had no costumes. So this is what we put together. Just a white blouse and black trousers. And you can see Mr. Foon Sien in the middle, the president of the Chinese Benevolent Association. Another photo of the girls. Oh, and this is just a routine, a few routines, because we did some stage events, so we had to alter the moves. An important step that we came up with was called B-step, and I don't know if you girls remember that, but I didn't know what to call it at the time when I thought about it, and it was just a step, touch step. And on the radio, there was this song playing, Bee-bop-a-loo-loo, that's my baby, I can't sing. And so I thought, B-step, and if you play that song now, I mean, you'd all be dancing, because I love it. It's just like very, very neat and rhythmical. Here we're just to add a community event. I think it was the Fraser Street community event. So this is actually misstated. It's still 58. And this was a pattern that was drawn up in Hong Kong for our costumes. And they sent us the patterns and, of course, the swatches of material. And we chose green and red. This event now was our big event in the fall of 1958. So it was Grey Cup Parade. And we still did not have uniforms. So we were able to purchase bright orange and red sweaters. We added, I think it was just white pom-poms that we used for earmuffs and white gloves. And that was a very, very special event. We had never been in a big event before, so we received so much applause, the cheering. We knew then that what they had foreseen for us was that we were really ambassadors for Chinatown. We were so proud of that. And that just gave us more incentive to just practice harder, because the next year was coming, and that would be 1959, and we finally had our costumes. So here we have myself, and that's Bonnie Koo. Yeah, she was the daughter of Koo Produce, who was our majorette, and our drummers, Brenda and Beatrice. Here we are in the Peony Parade, Nancy leading as the head drummer. We had a lot of help from the community, and someone that was very instrumental in helping us was Sergeant Don Bellamy, from the police force. He was a drumming major, and he actually helped us to find a place that would be covered so that we could practice when it was inclement weather. And it was the CN terminal at the foot of Main Street. He also was really helpful in getting a young man from the White Spot Junior Pipe Band to volunteer his time to teach drumming. And his name was Ian. So we go here we are, Peony Parade, Hastings Street. And the thing that I really, really love about this is I think we're all in step. Whenever I see a photo, I'm always checking, are they in step? Yeah. And this was at the Peony. Bonnie's in the center. And that particular year, we had a China pavilion at the Peony. So this is where we lined up for that photo. And here, this is after the parade at the Peony. And on the left are two of our chaperones. Mother of Brenda would be Betty Lee, and then there was Mei Liang. She was the mother of Darlene and Karen. And at the other end, on the right side, is my mom, Hazel. And the person that I spoke about in the front is Tommy Ho with Bonnie. And my sister is in this picture, third from the left. And here, during that parade, I guess we impressed someone because we won first prize for best drill team. And so that is on the right side. The left side is just a trophy. Well, it's not just a trophy, it's a special trophy as well. When we were at, I think, we were somewhere on the island. I can't remember where at this point, but yeah, that was a new uniform. This was May Day Parade, and we were invited by the Chinese Benevolent Association in New West. And here we have Janetta as our majorette at the front, and one of my very dear friends, Deanna, on the left. And it's Nancy on the right, and May. May is here today, too. She took over as captain when I left. She's on the very right. This is just one of our fundraising events. So the girls were doing a calypso dance, and Deanna and I think we're singing something from Annie Get Your Gun, and I can't sing. So this is a Showboat that we were performing at. And Nanetta is here. This is the special picture of you. So we had 3 majorettes at different times. On the right is our last uniform that we received, the red one. And the majorettes and myself were given the gold ones. So that was very, very special. Here we are, in Port Alberni. And my brother is one of the flag bearers. His name is Alan Lee. And it was a rainy day, as you can see. And later on in life, he and his wife, Betty Ann, became the founders of Lee's Donuts at Granville Island. So you might have known that, yeah. And more photos in Chinatown events. Just having a bit of fun. And of course, for me, all things had to come to an end. I had spent 4 years with the drill team, and by this time, I felt that I needed to move on with my life, and the Benevolent Association was very kind. They awarded me a trophy for service for Chinatown. On the right picture is a picture of Tommy Ma, the bank manager, Rex Leung and his wife May, these are all directors, and Tommy Ho. And here on the left I think I'm cutting a cake, and the person that's doubled over in laughter is Larry Wong. And I think most of you know that Larry was the author of Dim Sum Stories, and he held many, many titles as far as service to Chinatown. I think he probably asked me what I was going to do with my life, and I think I answered, I'm going to live my dreams. So here, the last picture would be with May at the helm with all the girls. Janetta, May here, and Janetta on the right. So that was our team. To this day, I'm so proud that we have been able to stay in touch, and we get together every so often. I think that experience, the bonding, the loyalty that we felt, just kept us together. So thank you all for your time.
Thank you again very much. Donna, Peter, and Elwin, really love you. Safe journey home, everyone.